Hello and welcome to One Take Wednesday, a series of videos I'm doing where every Wednesday I discuss a hockey-related topic and I do it in a single take. That means no jump cuts, no edits, no nothing. Any mistakes I made, well, they're just there and I'm going to have to just live with them. In this episode, I want to discuss the biggest news from the first day of free agency, the big decision from Johnny T deciding not to sign with the Islanders, the team that drafted him, and instead sign with the team he grew up cheering for in the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's a couple different things about this decision that I want to kind of touch on because they're very, very interesting, all in their kind of own parts. Number one, let's talk about not re-signing with the Islanders. It's very rare to see a player drafted number one overall not play his entire career with the team that drafted him, or at least play most of his career except for maybe 1 or 2 years at the end, especially if he's chasing a cup. In the case of Johnny T, he's only really played for the Islanders for half his career. He played first 9 years of his career with the Islanders. Now he's got a 7-year contract with the Leafs, and he possibly could play a couple more years after that. So essentially, he's only played half his career with the Islanders, and that in itself is very interesting. It's not something we see a whole lot of, especially for guys like John Tavares, who top draft pick, panned out into elite franchise players. Secondly, his decision to sign with the Toronto Maple Leafs, the team he grew up cheering for, that is not something a lot of players really have that big of a choice of doing. Obviously, as a young hockey fan, growing up, backyard rink, you're out on the pond, you dream of scoring Game 7 overtime Stanley Cup winning goal for your favorite team. But that's just not really reality in most cases. Just, throwing out the whole Stanley Cup winning goal thing, throwing that aside, being drafted and playing for your childhood dream, team, that's not something a whole lot of guys really have the ability to do or the chance to do because, well, you get drafted by a team and then from there it's mostly up to them if they want to keep you there or trade you to another team. It's basically up to them until you hit free agency, but even then you still have to be the right guy and the right price point for your favorite team or as a child to, sign you, right? A lot of stuff has to go right, and in Johnny T's case, John Tavares' case, this, the stars kind of aligned here for him to join the Maple Leafs, his favorite team growing up. So he has that opportunity, and he takes it. All right, he's kind of fulfilling or hoping to fulfill that dream he had on the backyard rink. And that's a pretty neat thing. But number three, the final kind of thing I want to touch on here is the fact that he joined the Leafs for less money than other teams reportedly tried to sign him to. He essentially is giving up $2-ish million a year to play for the Leafs, taking essentially a pay cut, a hometown discount for that matter, to play for the Leafs. And obviously, as fans, we want players to, take discounts and be all for the team, but, step back and realize that players only get to play in the NHL for a certain amount of years. In Johnny Tavares' case, it's a little bit longer than most players, but, they got to try and make as much money as they can so they can set their family up for generations to come. For him to take less money is kind of neat in a sense. Very interesting though. We've heard from guys like Ekman-Larsson over in Arizona saying how, well, money is not really everything, and he's right. He is right. At a certain point, you got to be happy. You got to enjoy where you're essentially working, right? Where you're playing. And if you're miserable, that extra couple $1 million doesn't really help. And I know it's easy for us fans to say, suck it up, you're getting paid millions of dollars, just deal with it. But that's not really how our brains or social life really works. It's very easy to say that as fans who don't get paid millions of dollars, who wish they had $1 million. But in the end, if I look at it, I'm saying, well, if I doubled my paycheck right now, if I doubled it, but still worked, and this is all hypothetical. I'm not saying I work in a crappy situation, because I don't. But say I work in a crappy situation. I don't like the people I work for. I don't like the people I work with. I don't really like the environment. But one day, I have the ability to double my pay. But I have to still work there. I don't think I would. I honestly don't think I would. Even in this scenario where I essentially double the amount of money I get, it's because I still want to be happy, and if I'm not happy, then money does nothing for me. So I look at it that way, and I know it's hard to relate to millions of dollars, but Ekman-Larsson and Johnny T, their decisions are valid to not take the most amount of money they can possibly make, and instead go to a place or a team that makes them happy. And although it may suck for Islanders fans and fans of teams that really wanted to get John Tavares, you can't really be mad at Tavares for making the decision he made. That's really all I wanted to touch on. There's just a couple very, very interesting points of this whole decision, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on Johnny T signing with the Maple Leafs. Leave those down in the comments section below. Like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate that as always. But most importantly, stay safe, make good decisions, and I'll see you next time.